Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar, which is called Mobile Phone, a Secure Key to Company Data. Before we actually start, I'd like to ask you for a single little favor, and that's just to confirm that you can see me and hear me well, just so we avoid any technical difficulties. Right, we'll give it a few more seconds. Someone's typing. Thank you, Gerald, and welcome. Okay, so firstly, I'd like to briefly introduce myself and the company I'm representing. So my name is Jiří Změlík. I work in sales in Czech Republic, a software technology company called Monet Plus that has been active in the fields of digital identity and electronic payments for the last 26 years. The company already employs approximately 300 people. We have 6 offices covering all Czech Republic. And for example, you can see or experience our applications and projects in more than 15 countries worldwide. Our typical customer would be a large organization from banking or financial sector or telco or energy. Also, we're active in healthcare and as well as in manufacturing industry. Today, we'll be speaking about digital identity and multi-factor authentication that should be protecting the user, the end user, the typical employee of an organization who is dealing with some sensitive data or overall data that shouldn't be breached by anyone else, shouldn't be leaving the company. I think this is something that we come across pretty much every day, and it's an issue that should be solved because 80% of successful hacking attacks that are happening are caused by compromised logins or weak passwords. What does it say? It says that the weakest link in the company will always be the human. So, and also I'm aware that you all know this statement. It's nothing new. What's worse is that through the time, it doesn't really, the percentage doesn't really decrease. And there's more people every day, and the digitalization is expanding, and we need to protect the people from being hacked and their credentials stolen, and therefore someone else could get an access to the data. So by a single act, we can eliminate the biggest pain of the end user, which would be the login and the password. This could be done by multi-factor authentication. So we can get to it. A usual user, every one of us is dealing with dozens of usernames and passwords on a daily basis, and it is really complicated to maintain it in a good practice. So I believe that there's not that many of all of us that have some sophisticated option how to maintain safely, securely the passwords. For example, okay, you can get an app that you download in your phone, and there you can keep it. But I would say that the majority of us would probably keep and maintain the passwords written on some piece of paper that will be, in the better case, somewhere in our wallet. In the worst case, most likely probably somewhere under the keyboard. I'm sorry for breaking the secret stash. Solution for this is quite simple. It's multi-factor authentication. There's lots of different methods and tools how to do it, and most of them will and are including some kind of piece of hardware that we have to have with us at all times. So this would be, for example, some smart card or a token, something else. Today, if we're talking about login or multi-factor authentication with the use of the mobile phone, okay, we still have some hardware with us, but I would consider this as a little bit a different piece of hardware, because a mobile phone or smartphone is something that we have with us at all times. We know very well how to use it, we're comfortable with it, and even unconsciously, we do our very best not to lose it. So if I'd like to skip to the next slide, where you can see our point of view of the multi-factor authentication if you want to use the phone. First thing is the word passwordless. This is very, very important, because this is the principle we like to use in as many cases as possible. What does it mean for the user? It means like it's a great help for him, because therefore he's losing the worry about the password itself, because he doesn't need one. All he needs to prove the authentication, the request, is a unique identifier that has each one of us, and that's biometrics. So in this case, it'll be fingerprint or Face ID. Where it is not possible to be done, which is also a case of some applications, because they don't even either support it or it's maybe not possible to add the passwordless part. We're trying to add the second factor for the user, not to leave him with just the username and password. So in this case, we like to implement this authentication through the mobile phone to be the secondary use, the secondary interaction of the user. Multi-factor implementation nowadays throughout different kinds of organizations. Some organizations are able to implement it, they want it, they are aware of the need, they are aware of the threats, they are aware of the weakest link, human. So they're interested into this solution, and we've been doing this for more than 10 years with different kinds of organizations in Czech Republic and outside. So this is great. If organizations realize it and want to enhance their security. Some other organizations sort of they have to do it because, for example, they are covered by critical infrastructure directive. So they sort of have to have this kind of, and not only this one, obviously, implementation ready within the organization's ecosystem. Then there is, for example, Cybersecurity Act that is also touching a lot of organizations. Then next to is Network Information Security and EIDAS regulation, which the second one is dealing with digital identity and electronic signatures, and NIS2 is a bit of a just above this, just covering the cybersecurity all over. So later on this year or during this year, it is expected to receive the new generation of these two regulations, and it would probably have a large impact for a lot of organizations that until today didn't really have to deal with it. For example, if there is an automotive company, they have to be in compliance with TISAC standards that also order them some sort of security implementations. It could be GDPR, it could be any standards from the ISO 27000 family, or possibly you can have your own standards within your organizations that also will need you to fulfill some security operations. From our point of view, what we want to do and what we want to achieve is to have the user ready for the typical routine scenarios he's going through every single day. So the user, obviously, anyone who's working with the company data through the computer needs to do the first thing to safely and securely to log in to the computer. If the person's working from outside or if it's on a business trip, you need to access the data, obviously, safe and secure login to the VPN. If you're managing any kind of documents or tables or just emailing it, just transferring the data, if you're working with any of the applications that are used within your organization, whether it's from the CRM or DMS, ERP family, all this need to be protected somehow, or it should be protected somehow. And there's also different kinds of applications, which we will see a bit later on. This should be also applicable not only for working with the computer, but also with a mobile phone or eventually with a tablet, for example. How does the authorization happen? There's usually 3 different options that could be done according to the customer's needs or scenarios available. Well, first one is push notification. Very simple, through a mobile token, something you probably all of you already know from the internet banking apps you're already using, something that Monet Plus is always involved into. This is where we got inspired. It is a very convenient method for the user to do the authentication securely at first, very quickly, and he doesn't need any password for it because the biometrics does the job. Second option is one-time password, OTP, that could be requested and sent within the app. And then obviously you take that password and retype it within the second device, computer or tablet, whatever. And the last one available is an ordinary authorization code sent through an SMS. This is the first slide that's concerning our application, ProID Mobile, we call it. So at the bottom, you see the most important principles that we like to use. So we have the second factor for the user that's safe and secure, and wherever it is possible, wherever we're able to do it, like we want to go in the passwordless way. The application, the platform, is fully designed and developed by us, by Monet Plus, so we are in full control of the app. What it does, solves the workforce identity of the people within your organization, provides the multi-factor authentication. Only thing the user needs is the phone. The level of the authentication is also very important for us. So wherever possible, we like to use the solution that's based on the PKI, so public key infrastructure. So there will be a domain certification authority within your company that is issuing certificates upon which this is based on. Or we're also able to perform the authentication based on different kinds different kinds of protocols. We'll also get to that later. How our platform can be purchased, it's pretty easy. It could be done in both ways, either as a service, so a cloud option, or if the company organization wants, or if it needs, it could be also installed within the organization's infrastructure on-premise. This is how the app looks like. We have the app ready for both iOS and Android users. And when I was speaking about the authentication types, we're ready to offer all three of the options. So either the push through the mobile token, or one-time password, or the SMS. The app also has an integrated security application, runtime application, SDK, that has been also developed by our subsidiary company, Ahead, that is already implemented within this application. And out of curiosity, it could be also implemented in some different kinds of mobile applications if somebody wants to enhance the security of the app. So what is the security of our app based on? It is based on something that the user has, obviously. So there'll be the app installed in the phone where the authentication is happening. And the user has to know something. That's the secret with which the user confirms the request. So it is biometrics, Face ID or fingerprint, but a mandatory, obviously, is a PIN number. In this case, it's a 6-digit PIN number that is protected from being not very luckily chosen. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is not allowed. So, and a great advantage of this is that the PIN is not stored on any backends. So it is, even if there would be some kind of a brute force attack of a hacker, and he would be able to access some company database, he wouldn't be able to get your PIN because the PIN is stored within the phone. So it's under the sole control of the user. Also, it's not like that the user would be able to download the app and then just start using it. Obviously, the method has to be enabled to him by IT administrators, and the user has to perform his onboarding within the app, which is really easy. We will also able to show you later on. This is just an additional slide about the enhanced security, the TALSEC application I was talking about. So this is already installed within the application, and what it does, it continuously scans the phone and checks the current status and security of the phone with all those aspects you can see on the right side. So whether it's a system or application integrity, whether the biometrics works fine, and whether the device is locked properly, and you're not allowed to do any screenshots, etc. If for some reason there will be detected a threat, it doesn't mean that the app would not go, but the phone would send a notification to the admin, who would be able to deal with it, recommend some further steps to do, and so on. So here I just wanted you to see what are the use cases that are covered within ProID mobile application. So the login is concerning the first three of them. So it's the authentication, secure and safe authentication into systems, applications with the use of the PKI. The second one is all different kinds of third-party applications not only third-party applications, it could be also your own applications if you have one, or if you have it custom made for you. If you would like to integrate our multi-factor authentication, it's possible. And the third area is application for administrators, where we'll show a slide about that later as well. And the last one is an advanced electronic signature. So you're also able to perform electronic signing on the advanced level. And importantly, all of this can be done with the use of one single app. We know that today there are lots of options and tools, but it's really hard to maintain so many use cases with one simple tool. So we believe this could be an advantage of our solution. I also wanted you to see or get an idea how does the all of the use cases work. So if you allow me to, I'll be able to go briefly through all of the use cases you can perform with the app. So the first and very important is to safe and secure logging to operating systems, either for Windows as well. It works for Mac. What's very important, that already this use case is passwordless. So from the user point of view, the workflow is fairly easy. So all he does when he runs the computer and is about to normally put username and password or some other way how to authenticate himself, all he does he needs to choose the mobile phone, and he receives push notification that is confirmed using either the 6-digit PIN, but most likely the user will be preferring the biometrics, and he's successfully logged in. Again, I'm enhancing that this principle is based on the domain user certificate. So there has to be a certification authority within your company that is distributing the certificates. The phone is communicating with the computer through Bluetooth low energy, and it is safe. It is encrypted with elliptic curves. And for example, it has a very nice feature that is hard to maintain with some other tools, and that's every time the user is leaving his or her current workspace and takes the phone with himself, which is probably the scenario that happens. Once there's certain distance breached, there happens an automatic logout. So if you go for coffee with your colleague at work, or if you need to leave somewhere else for 5 minutes, and even if you be working, for example, in a cafe where there's a lot of other people next to you, this could be fairly useful. Another advantage is it also works offline, because I mean, the computer can be offline. All you need is some kind of mobile data in your phone to receive the push, and then the communication, as I mentioned, is happening with the Bluetooth low energy. Second use case is login to applications, different applications with again with PKI. So again, it's a passwordless principle. Let's consider this being a VPN, for example, Cisco AnyConnect. So the workflow is almost the same. All the user does, he's running the application, receives the push notification, confirms with the biometrics or PIN, he's logged in. He's also able to do this when logging into the computer VPN, as well as logging in the VPN on his phone. Again, this is based on PKI, and the prerequisite is that both applications have to use the PKI to be able to work this. Passwordless login to third-party apps is something that we believe could enhance the user satisfaction very much, because okay, you log into your computer, okay, you log into the VPN, but then there's numerous different applications that you are using on a regular basis all through the day. And it is very convenient to, if you perform a passwordless login to the computer, it'll be a shame to perform a username and password login to, I don't know, other applications, for example, anything from the Microsoft or Google family or Salesforce, or basically anything else that is supporting the 3 green protocols that you can see on the top: OpenID Connect, SAML 2.0, and OAuth 2. So as long as any application is supporting these 3 protocols, we're able to integrate it together through either already existing federation hubs, Active Directory federation services, or anything similar, or we can do it ourselves. And then the workflow is again very similar. You run the app, open it, receive the authentication request, and whether you want to use mobile token, OTP, SMS, confirm with biometrics, obviously only the mobile token, and you are successfully logged in to the application. As I mentioned, if you have your own app, then and it would support these protocols, then it's easy for us to integrate this within the functionalities. Next one on the list is login to application and systems, this time for admins. So whether this is focused on applications and services that using the Radius protocol. You can see some of them at the bottom of the slide. Unfortunately, this Radius protocol doesn't support the passwordless login, so the admin still has to use or perform the login using the username and the password. What we do in this case is what I mentioned at the beginning. So after this, we are adding the second factor, where he would be able to do again the mobile token, OTP, or SMS confirmation. And even if for some reason or somehow the password would be breached or stolen, the hacker doesn't have the mobile phone. So this is the added protection by the second level of the other factor. Yes, I described steps, so we can move on. Remote signing is something that is also possible to be done using our app. It is good to be mentioned that the electronic signature is available on the advanced level, so the second highest level. And great thing is that the user can perform the signatures on the go. He doesn't necessarily have to be at his workstation. He can use the mobile phone for that, or a tablet. Or it could be also integrated within any existing app that you are already using within your organization. So, for example, document management system. The workflow here is that the user again has to securely authenticate to the app. Then he chooses a document that he uploads to a web application, which he chooses to be signed, and receives through the push notification a request that he needs to approve to be able to finalize the signature, and receives the signed document. Before the user actually can start using the app, he has to perform or go through the onboarding, which is basically on his side, but it's nothing complicated and could be easily done within a few minutes. So there are the steps he needs to do. Obviously, he has to have the mobile app installed, which could be easily downloadable from the app stores, or it could be already pre-installed through the mobile device management. If the user is dealing with the PKI scenarios, he needs to have installed the middleware that is communicating with the computer, and this could also be done through the domain policy. If there is no need for the PKI scenarios, this step is not needed. What is needed for sure is the activation of the user on our ProID portal, where this is done using a QR code. I'll be able to show you on the next slide. This is how it looks like. So when the user goes to this portal, he already has installed the application. So he scans this QR code with the phone already, with the app already open, and this will onboard him on the ProID portal, where he will be able to see some general information about himself and the phone. You can also see on this slide on the left side that there's more option than just the mobile. So it's something I will very briefly mention at the end of the presentation. It's just different kinds of multi-factor authentication tools that we in Monet Plus ProID platform are offering. So on this ProID portal, the user can see all different kinds of information about all the methods he might be using. Here you can see just some general information about the smartphone the user has, eventually a few information from the Talsec, the security app, for example, saying that the biometrics is okay. And also there's a different approach for the admins, who obviously also have access to this portal, and they can see just a little bit more detailed information about everyone that's onboarded on the portal. Our ProID methods or ProID mobile method can be deployed either as a service, so as a cloud-based service, which in this case would be licensed by numbers of users, depending how big your company is. We will sort of charge some monthly fee. Of course, there's some another fee for the primal initialization of the solution. And it is all based on Azure Kubernetes cluster, so with the Docker containerization. So this is our prerequisite for being able to install this solution. Just an information, our cloud provider is Microsoft Azure, and it is located in Germany. On the other hand, if you require, or for some reason the organization has to have this platform installed within its own infrastructure, we're also able to deploy this on-premise. Then the pricing is a little different. It's a standard license, depending on what kind of products and services you would prefer. Again, speaking about the ProID mobile application, you still need to have the Kubernetes cluster support, but for everything else, it's not. Over here, you can see the ecosystem or the scheme describing the ecosystem of the ProID mobile environment. I wouldn't really go too deep on this, just to maybe divide it in 3 areas, where on the left side there's the user environment, in the middle it's the cloud-based part, and on the right side you can see the customer environment. So the user basically needs the app and a web browser and a computer, and in the middle, the cloud-based part is where we have all the different parts that together build the ProID environment. So a virtual card or mobile token, if this is used, federations, again, if they are used. And in the event of the PKI scenarios, we also have our secure HSM environment where we maintain the keys. The customer environment involves a ProID radius proxy or proxy services to be able to integrate everything together, eventually to communicate with the certification authority. And on the right side, and actually I forgot to mention that we don't possess any user data. We communicate with your Active Directory, eventually a different kind of identity management. I also wanted to mention that the authentication through the mobile phone is not the only tool we have. We actually have 4 of them. So maybe let me very briefly introduce the rest of it. So we also have a selection of ProID hybrid smart cards that using the contact chip or contactless chip will give you a numerous options for that you can use. Then we also have a virtual card that can be stored within the TPM chip of your computer. So that could be a very sophisticated and easy method for the user to perform some secure authentications. And we also have a special method that is also, well, everything is designed and developed in Monet Plus, but this is the latest one we have. We call it Bitron, and it's a combination of a USB hardware token with the integrated chip of the smart card, but as another factor, it is complemented by a mobile application as well. So this would be a solution that would be absolutely the most secure out of everything we offer. What's good to say is maybe that all those authentication tools can be combined together. So if we have, for example, a demanding customer that's asking for more than one kind of authentication tool, because obviously someone maybe doesn't have a phone, doesn't want a phone, and somebody doesn't want to use any of the other tools, and somebody wants to use, for example, 2, just to make sure he always has a backup tool if some things go wrong. So this is just in a nutshell all the other tools that ProID platform is offering. If anything would catch your interest, like we'd be very happy to talk to you anytime, not only through this webinar, or you can just send us an email, give us a call. You'll be able to see my contact details on the next slide. And we can talk with you to so you can specify with us your current needs, your exact specification of the use cases you want to fulfill. And we can prepare some demo or POC, and then give it a go with you to see whether you would like to implement this within your organization or not. So I would say that at this very stage, this is pretty much everything I wanted to share with you today. I hope it was understandable. If not, let me know. I would be very glad for any kind of feedback. Actually, you've received an email before the webinar has started that also has a link to a document that just asks you for very brief overall feedback. So we'd be very, very glad, very happy to receive as many as possible from all of you. So I would like to thank you again for attending the webinar today. And as long as you have any questions you would like to ask, you can just type them in the chat. If you would have any questions later on, please don't hesitate to contact me anytime. We'd be happy to pay attention whenever needed. So we can wait for a little moment, but it looks like there are no questions whatsoever at this very moment. Thank you, Gerald. I appreciate it very much. And okay, if there's no more questions, I would like to wish you a very nice rest of the day, and hopefully see you somewhere soon, either online or in reality. Thank you.